Okay, so I want you to close your eyes for a second. Picture a machine, but not just any machine. Imagine this massive, complex biological system, and it's filled with what one person called spindly octopuses.
That is quite the visual to start with. Sounds like a nightmare from a nature documentary or something.
It really does, right?
Yeah.
Spindly octopuses with tentacles just reaching everywhere, constantly manipulating levers, regulating temperature, managing emotions, even planning for the future, all just to keep this beast moving forward. But here's the twist. I'm not talking about biology. I'm talking about the West Wing of the White House.
Which is a fascinating comparison, and that's actually how Jonathan Swanson, the founder of Athena, described the presidency.
Right. So Swanson started his career working there for the president's top economic advisor. And while everyone else in the West Wing is obsessed with, politics or policy, Swanson was obsessed with logistics.
With how the machine actually worked.
Exactly. He was watching the president's executive assistants, and he realized they weren't just secretaries answering phones. They were these high-functioning octopuses running the entire machine and the presidency. So the president could actually focus on, well, being the president.
It's a brilliant observation. We tend to look at history through this great man or great woman lens, this idea of the lone genius changing the world by themselves.
Through sheer willpower.
Yeah, but Swanson's point is that behind every one of them is an incredibly complex, high-functioning support structure, something that handles all the cognitive load of just survival.
And that's where he had his big aha moment. He's sitting there watching these superhuman assistants, and he thinks, okay, obviously I'm not going to be president, but what if a normal person had that kind of support? What could I unlock if I had my own spindly octopuses handling all the chaos?
And that question, that's really the foundation of our deep dive today. We're exploring this idea he calls time sovereignty.
Time sovereignty.
Yeah. He argues that we have this fundamental misunderstanding of what we should be striving for. Society tells us, chase money, chase popularity, chase status. But we almost never chase the ability to actually control our own time.
Which sounds amazing on a philosophical level. I mean, time sovereignty. I would love some of that.
Yeah.
But let's be real. And I want to get this out of the way right up front. When I hear get an assistant to run your life, I hit a wall. It feels indulgent,
Boo.
Totally bougie. It feels like something for billionaires, not for, normal people listening to us right now.
You're hitting on the exact friction point that Swanson identifies. There's this massive psychological barrier, a cultural one, really. We feel guilty.
Yeah.
There's this deep-seated belief, especially in the West, that doing your own grunt work is like a sign of character. If you outsource your laundry or your scheduling, you're somehow too good for the real world.
Oh, completely. If I tell my friends, oh, I can't meet up, I have to do my taxes, they're all sympathetic. But if I say, my assistant is doing my taxes while I get a massage, they look at me like I'm the villain in a movie.
It's the ick factor. But the whole mission of this deep dive is to sort of dismantle that guilt and provide a real roadmap for what he calls buying back time.
Right.
And before you think this is just for the wealthy, we are going to look at how to start this with literally a $0 budget.
Okay, we'll get to the zero budget stuff in a minute, but I want to stay on this psychological block. Swanson used a specific example that I found really confronting. The car versus chef debate with Sean Puri.
Oh, this is the perfect illustration of our hypocrisy here. So Sean Puri is a tech entrepreneur. He mentioned on social media that he has a private chef who cooks healthy meals for his family.
And I'm sure the internet reacted with calm and reason.
Of course not. He got absolutely roasted. People called him opulent, out of touch, a rich snob. I mean, saying I have a private chef is a very specific kind of flex that people just hate.
It sounds like it's strictly for the 1%.
But here's the map that Swanson lays out. Puri drives a 10-year-old car. Hasn't upgraded it in a decade. Now think about your average upper middle class family.
Okay.
They might lease 2 new SUVs every 3 to 5 years. If you drive a shiny, $60,000 car, nobody bats an eye. That's a standard life expense.
Right. You roll up in a new Tesla, people say, nice car. You spend that same amount of money on a chef.
Who do you think you are?
Exactly.
Right.
The financial cost is roughly the same over a 5-year period. But look at the return on investment. The car is a depreciating asset that saves you 0 time.
You still have to drive it, maintain it.
Right. That chef buys Puri maybe 10 to 12 hours a week. No grocery shopping, no prepping, no cooking, no cleaning. He basically traded a shiny metal box for 12 more hours with his kids.
That is a brutal reframe. It really exposes how much we value objects over our own existence. We'd rather look rich with a car than be time-rich with a chef. Swanson says it's a failure of valuation. I mean, think about it this way. You can wash your car for free. You can mow your lawn for free. But you cannot fly a commercial jet for free.
Right, you can't.
We outsource the pilot because we have to. We refuse to outsource the laundry because we can do it, even if doing it costs us the very energy we needed for something way more important.
He also frames it as a gift, which I thought was a clever spin. Instead of dumping work you hate, you're providing income.
It's an economic value exchange.
Yeah.
You're creating a job for a professional who might actually enjoy that work, so you can do what you're uniquely good at. It's not about being lazy, it's about comparative advantage.
Okay. I'm willing to suspend my guilt for the sake of this deep dive, but I can't suspend my bank account. If I don't have new car money to redirect, where do I start? Swanson outlines this ladder of leverage.
This is where it gets really practical. Level 0 costs $0. He calls it the friends and family swap.
This sounded a bit like a commune when I first read it, but break it down for me.
It's basically about realizing you have leverage in your social circle. The example he gives is 4 friends, they all have young kids, everyone's drowning, no free time. So you agree to a rotation, 1 night a week, one friend watches all the kids.
So for one night, your house is just complete chaos.
Controlled chaos, maybe? But look at the flip side. For the other 3 friends, they just got a free night off. They bought back time without spending a single cent.
That's actually brilliant. It turns a social obligation into a time asset. But you can't have flaky friends for that system.
True, it runs on social capital. Now, if you have a little bit of money, like $20 a month, you move to level 1. That's AI.
Using ChatGPT or something similar. But he's not just talking about write me an email, is he? He means using it as a behavioral coach.
Yeah, this is really clever. He suggests using AI to offload the executive function of your brain, the part that has to nag you. You can tell the AI, look, I want to get in shape. Ask me every morning at 8 a.m. if I went to the gym. If I say no, give me a tough love speech. If I say yes, congratulate me.
So it's a digital gym buddy that never gets tired of nagging you.
Precisely. It's a very basic form of an assistant, but it trains your brain to start reporting to an external entity. It removes that cognitive load.
Okay, moving up the ladder. Level 2 is the gig economy. Upwork, TaskRabbit.
Right. This is transactional. $5 to $10 an hour for one-off tasks. Find me the cheapest flight. Transcribe this audio. It's useful, but it's high friction because you have to manage every single task.
And that leads to level 3, where companies like his, like Athena, come in.
This is where you get a dedicated person, usually remote, often in places like the Philippines or Kenya, where the cost of living allows for affordable rates around $3,000 a month. But this isn't just someone doing tasks, it's someone who gets to know you. They're trained to manage the whole machine of your life.
And just so we see the top of the mountain, what are levels 4 and 5?
Level 4 is the high net worth individual. You're talking an in-person chief of staff, probably costing over $100,000 a year. This person runs your household, your travel, everything. And level 5, well, that's the billionaire setup.
This is where we get back to the spindly octopuses from the intro.
Basically, Swanson mentions a client with a team of 50 people running his life. That includes 8 executive assistants who are all Princeton graduates.
8 Princeton grads. For one person, that seems excessive. What could they possibly all be doing?
At that level, they aren't scheduling haircuts. They're managing a global empire of attention.
But Swanson also throws in a sci-fi curveball here for the future. The robot.
I saw that. Teleoperated robot.
It's the logical conclusion of remote work. He pictures a future where your assistant in the Philippines doesn't just manage your calendar. They log into a physical robot in your kitchen to tidy up or bring you a coffee. I'm not sure I'm ready for my Zoom call to start doing my dishes. But let's park the robots. Because even at level 2 hiring someone on Upwork, most people fail. I've tried it, and honestly, I usually end up just redoing it myself. Swanson says this is my fault, doesn't he?
He does. He identifies 4 cardinal sins of delegation. And if you failed at this, you're likely guilty of at least 2. The first one is pride.
The classic, I can do it better.
And I can do it faster. And here's the trap. You're right. You can write that email faster than it takes to explain it. It might take you 2 minutes to write, but 10 minutes to explain the context to an assistant.
So the math says do it yourself. Why spend 10 minutes to save 2?
Because that's linear math. Delegation is compounding math. You spend that 10 minutes explaining it once, and they do that task 100 times over the next year. You've just saved hours. You have to be willing to lose time up front to buy it back later with interest.
Okay, sin number 2 is guilt, which we covered. What's the third?
Selfishness. And this one is counterintuitive. It means hoarding access. If you hire an assistant, but you don't let them see your full calendar or your personal emails, you've crippled them.
It's like hiring a navigator and refusing to show them the map.
Exactly. If they don't have the context, they can't make decisions. They will constantly bug you with questions, which completely defeats the purpose. And the fourth sin is lack of commitment.
Treating it like a Tinder date instead of a marriage.
Right. You try it for a month, it's a little rocky, so you quit. Swanson says building a second brain takes time. You have to shuffle through the training phase to get to the real leverage.
So how do we actually do this right? Let's get tactical. If I hire someone, what do I even tell them? Manage my life is pretty vague.
Well, he has a hierarchy of asking. Most of us are stuck at the very bottom, which is task delegation. Buy flowers for my wife.
That seems helpful, though.
It's helpful, but you're still the project manager. You still have to remember it's her birthday, choose the flowers, check if they arrived. You're still mentally holding the task. You want to move up to process delegation.
Which sounds like...
Here is the algorithm for how I handle birthdays. These are the flowers she likes. These are the ones she hates. Here is the budget.
You teach them your personal code.
And then they just run the code forever.
Yes. Then comes goal delegation.
My goal is to have a better relationship with my spouse. And then you let the assistant figure out that you need a date night every 2 weeks, and they make it happen without you even asking.
And the final level, he called it clairvoyant delegation.
This is nirvana. This is when the assistant comes to you and says, hey, I saw you have a busy week coming up, so I already ordered your healthy meals and blocked out gym time because I knew you'd struggle. They anticipate the need before you even feel it yourself.
That sounds incredible, but also impossible.
Yeah.
How do you download your brain into someone else's head to that degree?
Swanson swears by one specific tool, voice notes.
Ugh. I hate listening to my own voice, but tell me why this works.
Because typing is lossy. When you type an email saying, change this meeting, it's just cold. It lacks all the nuance. He calls it context engineering. So he suggests recording a 30-second voice note while you're walking between meetings.
And what are you saying in the note?
You're not just giving the command. You're saying, hey, move this meeting, but be careful. I'm worried this client is upset, so be really polite and maybe blame it on a scheduling conflict so they don't feel blown off.
Ah, so you're teaching them the why and the emotion behind the decision.
Exactly. Speaking is 3 to 5 times faster than typing, so it's easier for you. But more importantly, it transfers your personality, your judgment, to the assistant. Over time, they start to hear your voice in their head when they make decisions. That is how you engineer context.
Okay, I want to challenge this on a technical level. There's this concept in business called diseconomies of scale. Basically, as organizations get bigger, they get slower and dumber. If I add a person to my life, don't I just add complexity?
You absolutely are adding complexity, and Swanson is upfront about this. As output increases, efficiency must decrease.
Wait, sell me on that. Why would I want to be less efficient? I want to be a lean, mean productivity machine.
Because you want higher output. He uses the concept of the vector sum. Think back to high school physics. A vector has magnitude, how much force, and a direction.
Okay, I'm with you so far.
If you're one person, you're super efficient. You know exactly what you want. All your force is going in one direction, but your magnitude is capped. You only have 24 hours. Now imagine a team of 10 people. They have to communicate, they have meetings, they misunderstand each other. That's friction.
Yeah.
They are less efficient per hour than you are alone.
Yeah.
But the vector sum, the total force they can apply, is 10 times what you can do. Swanson uses the Michael Jordan analogy. Michael Jordan would probably be the world's most efficient lawnmower.
Right. He's athletic, focused, disciplined. He'd do it perfectly.
But every hour he spends mowing his lawn is an hour he isn't practicing free throws. He accepts the inefficiency of hiring a gardener who might miss a spot, who might be late because it protects his ability to win championships. You have to accept some messiness to get scale.
Speaking of championships and greatness, Swanson brought some serious receipts to this whole lone genius myth. It turns out, history's greatest minds were not working alone.
They ran the data. Athena actually used AI to scan the biographies of people like Cicero, Newton, Einstein, Picasso, and the pattern was just undeniable. They all had spindly octopuses behind them.
The Edison example completely shattered my image of him. I always pictured him alone in a dark lab, testing 10,000 filaments.
A complete myth. He delegated the grunt work. He had an assistant who literally traveled to Kyoto, Japan, just to find a specific type of bamboo filament.
And there's a shrine to that assistant in Kyoto.
Yes. But Edison gets the credit. The Wright brothers, they delegated the design of the engine for the first plane. They didn't handcraft every single bolt themselves.
But my absolute favorite was Catherine the Great. Swanson calls her an OG delegator.
That is a very polite way to put it. She ran an empire, so obviously she delegated politics, but she also delegated her love life.
She had a funnel.
She did. She had a lady-in-waiting whose whole job was to screen potential suitors, essentially running top of funnel for dates. And according to history, she even had someone to test. Let's call it male capacity.
That is extreme quality control.
It is, but it proves the point. She understood that her time and energy were the bottleneck of the Russian Empire. She wasn't going to waste it on bad dates. She operationalized romance.
Okay, we've covered delegating to friends, to AI, to assistants, even to testers for Catherine the Great. But there's one thing that steals more time than anything else, and we don't delegate it, we invite it right in. Our phones.
This is the other side of the coin, right? You can hire all the assistants in the world, but if you spend 4 hours a day doom scrolling, you haven't bought back any time. Swanson advocates for something called the freedom phone.
This is a radical form of digital minimalism. Walk us through this setup, because he uses some great terminology here.
The problem is that our willpower is weak. If the Instagram app is on your phone, you will click it. Screen time limits don't work because you just override them. So he suggests a physical separation. You have 2 phones.
The kale phone and the cocaine phone.
Exactly. The cocaine phone is your current smartphone. It's got email, Twitter, TikTok, Slack, all the good stuff. It stays plugged into the wall at your house. It never leaves.
And the kale phone.
That's the one you carry with you. It's an old iPhone or a stripped-down device. It has maps, Uber, a calling app, maybe Spotify. That's it. No browser, no social media, no email.
So when you're standing in line for coffee or sitting in the back of an Uber, you literally can't scroll.
You're forced to be present. You're forced to just think. Swanson argues this is the only way to really break the addiction. You have to physically remove the option. It's nutritious, a little boring, and functional like kale.
It sounds extreme, but I guess if you want to reclaim time sovereignty, you have to defend the borders.
That's the perfect way to put it. Time sovereignty isn't just about efficiency. It's about emancipation.
So let's wrap this all up. We've gone from the White House to context engineering to carrying a burner phone. What's the big takeaway here?
I think it's about the ambition loop. There's this misconception that you need to be ambitious first to justify getting help. Swanson sees it the other way around. Leverage creates ambition.
Explain that.
When you are just drowning in low-level tasks, paying bills, scheduling, doing laundry, your brain is in survival mode. You can only plan for tomorrow. You physically cannot dream big because all your bandwidth is clogged with the urgent.
So by clearing out the urgent, you finally make room for the important.
Exactly. Once you buy back your time, your ambition naturally grows to fill that new space. You start asking, what do I actually want to build with my life? Instead of just, how do I get through this week?
That's a powerful thought. That delegation isn't just about doing less, it's about becoming more.
And I'll leave you with one final thought from the source material. It's a biological argument. Your brain is the ultimate delegator. I mean, you don't consciously think about beating your heart or digesting your food or even how to walk. Your prefrontal cortex, the CEO of your brain, delegates all of that to your subconscious so it can focus on actually thinking.
So if our own biology does the survive,
Why do we resist doing it externally? Maybe hiring help isn't bougie at all. Maybe it's just the next logical step in our evolution.
something to think about while you, or hopefully someone else, is folding the laundry. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.